Ooh, some new swag. What do we got? Ooh, that's pretty nice. I love that. That's cool. What is that? It's crazy. I like Ike. Oh, truckparking.com. Ooh. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Standing Out, a podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. I'm Trey Griggs, your host and the CEO and founder of Beta Consulting Group. So glad that you're with us today. Hey, take a moment when you get a chance. Check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. See how we are helping companies to tell their story. It's so important. You got a great product. You got a great service. People have to know about it. We'd love to hear from you. Click on that little button on our website to schedule a call with yours truly. Tell us about your story and we'll help you write yours. Also, a couple of things to announce before we get the show started off today. First of all, we are syndicated on Reads Across America Radio every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. So excited to be a part of that organization. If you have not checked out Reads Across America, make sure you do that. Make sure that you participate. You can donate a wreath. And if you're not sure exactly what they do, they place wreaths at the tombstones of fallen soldiers every middle of December every year so that we can remember and we can teach the next generation about the sacrifice that they made. Again, phenomenal organization. So excited to be partnered with them. Make sure you make a donation. We actually have a link that you can donate to our page through Reads Across America, and we would love for you to be a part of that. Speaking of Reads Across America, we're going to have Courtney George on the show real soon. She is the one that does all the transportation for this. It's amazing. 4 million wreaths to over 4,000 cemeteries across the country, working with truckers who donate their trucks to get those wreaths all across the country. So really excited to have her on the program real soon. She's coming up here in a week or two. So looking forward to getting that episode out to you. Also, it's not too late to sign up for the Elevate Conference for TMSA. What is TMSA? It's the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association, and it is phenomenal in our industry for sales and marketing professionals. It's an incredible event. It's in New Orleans this year, and it's the 100th anniversary of TMSA, so you don't want to miss that. Again, it's not too late. That's June 9 through 11 in New Orleans. Beta's very own Coleman Ruffin is going to be emceeing that event with our good friend Jennifer Carpus-Romaine. Again, make sure you go to events.tmsatoday.org to sign up for that. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be phenomenal. Also, make sure you follow us on YouTube at beta_podcast_network. Be sure to subscribe on there, turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss any of our episodes coming up. Finally, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, SPI Logistics, for making this possible. Listen, if you're a freight broker or an agent and you're just ready for something new, maybe you're a freight broker, you don't want all that back office stuff, or maybe you're an agent just not quite satisfied with the freight broker that you're working with right now. They got the technology, systems, and back office support to help you succeed. So make sure you check them out at success.spi3pl.com. Let them know you heard about it right here from Standing Out. All right, it's time to get the show going today. I actually have a good friend of mine from the St. Louis area. We could have done this show in person, but we decided to do it over the old internet today. We got to stay away from those cicadas out there. It's crazy. Huge cicada manifestation here in St. Louis, so we're doing it virtually today. But please welcome to the show my good friend and one of the new guys over at AmeriPol. We're going to talk about him today. Please welcome Clark Wellman to the show. Now, this is a good song, dude. This is a good song right here, man. Always good to hear some new walk-up music. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
It is good to have you on the show. I feel like we should have been doing this over some sushi, but this is okay. We'll make this work. This will be all right.
Sushi's and noodles, brother. Sushi's and noodles.
We got our normal sushi run around here. Shout out to Wasabi here in Clayton area in St. Louis. But good to have you on the show today, man. You're doing something new, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. So thanks for being a part today. Appreciate it.
I appreciate the offer. Thank you.
All right, man. We got to talk about this cicada infestation. You live in Kirkwood. I'm out in Wildwood. We're about 25 minutes apart. Are you guys feeling this? Are you seeing this?
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my wife last night. We were letting the dog out. So first and foremost, dogs like eating cicadas, but not our little princess for some reason. Oh yeah, I see these dogs eating the cicadas all the time, but not our little princess. But we started, it was like a wave, a slow wave. We'd start hearing them out in the west, My wife jinxed it. She said, honey, I'm not sure if they're going to come to our neighborhood. And then literally 2 days after the fact, boom, we got nailed. Yeah.
You know, my dog must be bougie because like he's not eating any of the cicadas. He sniffs them and just moves on. He's not all about that. But it's pretty wild. I heard a stat about cicadas, and this is crazy. We're in Missouri here in the Midwest. It's a huge infestation here in Illinois and whatnot. I heard 1.2 million cicadas per acre. Dude, how crazy is that? That's a lot of cicadas. That's nuts.
That's a lot of cicadas and a lot of crunching when you're walking or running.
It's wild. I heard also that they're louder than helicopters. That blows my mind. I mean, helicopters are pretty loud, but in my street, if I go with my top off on my Jeep, it's unbearable. It's so loud. It's crazy.
Well, so yeah, quick side note on that. So I have a brother-in-law, and I think I've mentioned this to you. My brother-in-law that lives in Nashville, Tennessee, he's big into the music industry. He took his phone out, took it out on the back porch and held it up to read the decibels. And then he shared it on LinkedIn. And it was nuts.
Like
it was like, you can't,
wasn't it like 92 or 98 or something? I mean,
it was just crazy. It was like being at a rock concert. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. To put that in perspective, like Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs play, they get up to like 120 decibels. So we're at 90 decibels with cicadas. I mean, that's
crazy.
Wild.
It's just nuts.
Yeah. It's wild. Let's talk about something a little bit more enjoyable. I know that you love rucking, and you've made it popular in the Kirkwood area. Tell us about this. Some people might not even know what this is. What is rucking?
All right, so you've experienced the rucking at Queenie Park, and so has Dr. Mark from Off Shift, right? So, you know, I think you know this about me. I was in the military a number of years ago, and one of the exercises, and one of the things, you're quite welcome, but one of the things that we used to do was marches, and you threw on a quote unquote rucksack. And that rucksack, depending on what you were doing, whether or not you were out in the field on a mission or you got your stuff loaded under your rucksack, ammunition, water, clothes, food, everything. And depending on how the people felt that day, we'd go 6 miles. Sometimes we'd go further than that. So and funny you should mention this. 2017, I was looking at Amazon. 2017 is when I ordered my first quote unquote ruck, which is essentially a weight vest that looks like a tactical vest, right? You've seen it. I started doing, then COVID hits. Where am I going to go work out? How am I going to get my exercise in? So I threw the ruck on and I started walking the neighborhoods. And then gradually I'd start to see more and more people carry the little 20-pound ones. And now everybody in our neighborhood, it seems like, has one. So I popularized rucking in Kirkwood, Missouri.
You're taking credit for that, and I don't blame you. My neighbor actually mows his lawn with one of those vests on.
Yes.
I have not given into the rucking trend just yet, but I'm sure if I keep hanging out with you, it's probably going to happen.
Next time we go to Queenie, you're going to get one.
Oh, great. I walked right into that one. Yeah. That's a side note. You and Dr. Mark and I get together at one of the parks here in town and walk around for like an hour. It's about a 3-4 mile walk. And it's great. It's one of my favorite business meetings that we have, talking life, talking business. We're all kind of entrepreneurs and a part of startups and things like that. It's phenomenal. I don't know why I haven't done this before, but it's one of the things I look forward to every month. I really enjoy it.
Oh, it's a blast. I have so much fun doing that. So
yep, it's so good. All right. So one more thing before we get into the serious stuff, and that is I think you might have a message for the Bodacious Cowboy, our good friend Jeff Dickinson. Is this true?
Yeah, if Mr. Dickinson happens to watch this at some point, I would like to I would like to certainly display this for you. This comes from the great state of Ohio, and then Columbus, which I consider Mecca, and then Ohio Stadium, which is the holy grail of all college football, and even above those people up north in that state that I shall remain nameless. Excuse me.
That's right.
Anyway.
Let's do this. Let's see if we can make this working.
O-H-I-O, baby.
There you go. Got that. So I at least know that much. I'm not an
Ohio
State fan, but I know enough. to do that. How'd you become a Ohio State fan? Are you from that area? Or
long story short, my dad, who also served in the military, served as for about 4 or 5 years, was a doctor in the military. He started off as a dentist. And then Ohio State University had one of the premier, and I brag about my dad all the time, premier oral and maxillofacial surgeon programs where you essentially become an MD and fix broken faces.
Hmm.
So he went to school there, took me, my mom, my other sister with me. And if anybody that listens to me or what understands, when you grow up in Columbus, Ohio, you have no choice but to be a Buckeye. So I've been a Buckeye.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a state that really rallies around one university, it's Ohio for Ohio State University. I mean, really,
absolutely.
Anybody talk about any other schools that are there? There's some good schools there, but nobody talks about them. Xavier's there, Miami, Ohio. There's several other good schools.
The University of Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, like you said, they're all great schools, but they just don't have the Ohio State University
football team. They don't have the loyalty,
and
the cult-like following that Ohio State has.
Yeah, we could be pretty obnoxious. We can be pretty obnoxious.
Awesome. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and once you're in, it's like it's hard to get out. I get it. I understand.
Oh, absolutely. Love it.
Hey, you had a LinkedIn post recently where you quoted somebody that said, remind yourself 60% better to a problem is better than 0% better. And that one was worth posting. Talk about that a little bit and your thought process around progress and just improvement. Talk about that.
You can never stop learning, right? You can never, ever, ever stop learning. And, pick your poison, pick what you want to learn. I personally like reading religion, Bible, those type of things. But I also like reading Stoic philosophy. I think there's a lot of good information that we can gather from, the Stoics, Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and some of the stuff that they say. But they're always saying, focus inward, focus on yourself, focus on the things that you can control. And what can we control? We can control our thoughts. We can control our how we react to things. But another thing that we can control is taking information in and learning more and more and more. So I would rather be 5% better 10 years from now than 0% better 10 years from now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I think that, I've heard it in other ways. I've heard the same phrase in other ways. I think perfection is really the enemy of good or great. But one way to think of it is, and I think about this too, like if you have something that's like 85% done or 90% done, but you're waiting to launch it, for example, for it to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect, number one. But two, like 90% in the market is better than 100% not in the market. And so I think there's something to be said about that. Like, I think that's why people like the people who build in public, who show us the process. This isn't perfect. We're iterating, we're making it better and better, and we're going to talk about it. And I think there's something to be said about that. I was also I was watching a clip on Jerry Seinfeld said the same thing about Stoicism, about everything that we're worrying about, all the people maybe that we're worried about, or situations or work or whatever, stressful moments, situations, financial situations, they're all going to go away. Like they're all eventually going to be gone, but we're letting them really impact us in this moment. And that's a big part of it, is like you said, focus inwardly, control what you can control. That's a big lesson in life. That's emotional intelligence that sometimes takes people a long time to figure out.
Oh God, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, just briefly on what you were just touching on, I was listening to a podcast this morning during one of my rucks, by the way, in Kirkwood. Stoicism on Fire, which is a podcast I absolutely love, but talks about becoming a sage, which is like the ultimate the ultimate in becoming a Stoic philosopher. No one will ever reach that. Epictetus, Seneca, those guys never reach that status. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect.
It's like being an expert leader. It doesn't exist, or an expert parent. I mean, you're always learning, always figuring something out. And I think that attitude, it in some ways it's depressing, because I think we all like finish lines. We like getting somewhere. But at the same point, like it's like working out. You're never going to be in perfect shape that you don't have to keep working out and doing things. So a lot can be learned out of that. And I know you're a history buff. You mentioned Marcus Aurelius and some of the others. Are there any historical events that particularly interest you, that have like maybe key takeaways, which you apply to your life, your profession? Like which ones really kind of grab you?
I am big into World War II history. I absolutely love World War II history. I like Vietnam history, Civil War history. I like a lot of history around, and it's not that I'm a violent person by any stretch of the imagination, but why wars started, how wars were won, and the heroism and the courage and the leadership that was actually developed in several key battles throughout Civil War all the way through World War II, from people that quite honestly you wouldn't expect to have taken that leadership role. But I absolutely love history, war history. I don't know what I had a family member, and I don't want this to come across as a braggart statement because it certainly is not, but I have a family member who happens to be buried here in St. Louis, Trey. That was there's a big cemetery off of 70 down by the River Road or whatever. Anyway, he won the Congressional Medal of Honor at the Battle of Gettysburg. Which I thought was just absolutely so cool. And so that, I think when I found that out as a younger kid, it's like, that's kind of stuff is really cool to me. Of course, I joined the military, had family that was in the military, but I love military history.
Have you been down to the Civil War Museum down near Jefferson Barracks here in St. Louis?
You know what? I have not.
You should definitely go. My daughter's high school history teacher's family runs that. So we got to have a tour down there.
Road trip.
Phenomenal facility. It's phenomenal. And it's definitely worth the trip. And so if I can connect you with that, I can get up with that. But it's a phenomenal
absolutely would love it.
What was it about World War II that was really appealing to you in the sense of learning about it? Was it the recency of it? I mean, it's really the biggest major war that is kind of connected to our generation. Like my parents, grew up and were born right at the time of of the end of that war. So what was it about that kind of grabbed your attention?
I think there's several things, but the big thing that I'm a big fan of Stephen Ambrose. Stephen Ambrose wrote several books. One of them called D-Day, one of them called Common Soldier. He's written several other books, but that particular generation, was forced to go to war through a draft, right? But they went and they fought, and there was a purpose behind why they were fighting, right? I think of the men of, I don't know, I'm a big Band of Brothers fan. I think of the men that joined that unit. And at the time, that was considered special forces like Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers at the time. The 101st and the Airborne was considered that. But the sacrifices that they made, there are wonderful stories about leadership that come throughout World War II that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. But when I talk about leaders, these are people that were, privates, sergeants and stuff like that in the battlefield. And an interesting statistic that I loved is, and it sticks with me, the story sticks with me all the time. When we stormed the beaches of Normandy, there were hedgerows, and the hedgerows were not these little shrubs that you and I would find in our front and our backyard. These were 10 feet tall, thick, and on the other side of that were Germans, right? And we had to get our men over to fight, but there was no way because our tanks couldn't get through there, right? So a sergeant, and I can't remember his name, but a couple guys came up with the idea of taking the obstacles that we're all familiar with that were on the beaches, undoing them and then welding them onto the front of the tanks, and then utilizing those as kind of like ways to push and cut through the hedgerows. That came from somebody who was following a leader, but somebody who had a great idea. And then of course these leaders are like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's try it. And it worked. So
crazy. I know.
Yeah. And then I look at, I think I was in Poland for a couple of weeks, and part of me being in Poland was being able to see some sites of where World War II really, quote unquote, began with the invasion of Poland from Hitler. And just being able to see those sites and knowing what those people did, it's just, we all know the story, but I mean, just what they had to face, and you're walking into something, you may die, so.
It's different when you see on location where these events took place. We took our kids to see the American Revolutionary kind of Trail, Gettysburg, and Valley Forge, and all these places. It's different. It hits different when you actually see those. And I think part of the reason that we're so kind of fascinated by World War II, by the American Revolutionary War, it shaped the world as we see it today. Much of the world and the way that this iteration of the world is today was shaped by World War II and by the American Revolutionary War. So
Absolutely.
It's really fascinating, to see those things, and a lot of lessons can be learned. And so I'm glad you got to
absolutely.
Poland. Speaking of Poland, we have to talk about why the heck you were there in the first place. And that is you got a new opportunity, which I'm really excited about, with our friends over at Art Express with their AmeriPol staffing division, with the company that's really helping companies with that. Talk about what you guys are doing, and tell us a little bit about your trip to Poland, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll preface this by stating I'm in Anna Marie Island in Florida. Not now, but I was celebrating our daughter's 16th birthday. You and I share a daughter around the same age, with my wife, her best friend, and myself. And I get a text on a Sunday, and I was leaving on a Monday. I get this text from this guy, Trey Griggs, right? And saying, hey, you're going to the hockey game with me on Tuesday night. I'm like, well, Trey, I'm just getting back in. I may need to, no, you're going. And it was all through text. I said, okay, fine. So go to the hockey game, end up meeting the president of AmeriPol there, and he and I just had a wonderful conversation. Peter is his name. Wasn't really expecting anything out of that. Got a message on LinkedIn from a gentleman by the name of Brian Avashan with Tab, whom you know, very good company, broker company here that we partner with. And Brian's like, can you come in? And I said, sure. So I came in. I sat down with the two principals, two co-CEOs of the company, and just had a really open and honest discussion. I didn't know where it was going. Then all of a sudden I thought, you know what? I could work with these guys. This is going to be fun. It's a leadership thing. So long and the short of it is, I first and foremost thank you for presenting the opportunity to me. No, come on, man, come on.
You're welcome.
But
you're welcome.
As part of the indoctrination, right? I get to go to Poland for 2 weeks because our company was founded by 3 gentlemen from Poland. And so they shipped me over to Poland for 2 weeks, and I am not scarred. That's not the word. I was so impressed with everything that we had a chance to do over there. I got to meet my teammates, and for as you know, Trey, what we do is we outsource talent to Poland for a variety of reasons. But these guys wanted me to go over to Poland and see the country, experience the culture, meet my teammates. And there's so many lessons that I've learned over there that I've brought back with me. Does that kind of answer your question? Or
no, that's incredible. Yeah, and I want to dig into that just a little bit more, because what I love about
Sure.
what AmeriPol is doing is, you guys there are other companies in the space that do something similar,
Sure.
with outsourcing work in different parts of the world. But the workers in Poland and their attitude and their work ethic and their education level, it's so high. And probably my favorite part of the whole model is their ability to come over the United States. There's a visa exchange where they can just come right away for up to 6 months, which allows them to come and sit next to and in the offices of the companies that they're working with. And so
Absolutely.
the training and the adoption, the education curve, all that is phenomenal with the model that you guys have. And that's one of my favorite things about what you guys do at AmeriPol. What was it about, when you started to understand what they were doing that really attracted to you? Because I remember when they came to me like, hey, do you know anybody that is a really good salesman? I'm like, I know a guy here in town. Yeah, let me make that happen. So we kind of had a little behind the scenes, pulling the strings a little bit to get you to the game, but I'm glad it worked out. What was it when you learned about their model that you're like, yeah, this is it. This is a great model. This works really well.
Well, doing a little research on Poland itself, the country, really kind of was one of the things that kind of pushed me over the edge. You talk about the education, Trey. I think there's a sense of pride over there too that is palpable, right? So let me talk about the education piece first. Poland, like many other European countries, offer free education, higher education, right? Now, it's your choice. You can either choose to go or you can choose not to go. And several of the people that we have as teammates have chosen to go to school, okay? The other thing, people say, oh, it's free. Yeah, it's free. You still have to get in. Their requirements to get into university are incredibly stringent because they're paying for it. The country is paying for you to go to school, right?
Yeah.
So when these people go to school, my teammates, when they have gone to school, they are there because they want to learn. They want to learn. And what is most humbling for me, having spent 2 weeks there, all right, is I'm sitting next to people in our offices over there that have master's degrees in economics. I was sitting next to a gentleman that does some work for one of our clients that is getting his law degree, okay? I mean, these are smart smart people. But another thing about Poland that really struck me is, if you think about it, Trey, I mean, we were younger, but Poland emerged from communism in 1989, 1990. Okay.
Which is not that long ago. That's one generation
Exactly.
ago.
Exactly. Okay. So one generation ago, these people are coming out of communism. You go over to that country now, it has exploded. It has exploded. The people have a sense of pride because they were taught that by their parents who were living under communist rule. The guy that I work with, Peter, lived under communist rule up until 1989. Got to play soccer over there. He played professional soccer and everything. But when I left that office, and I said, guys, one thing you guys can be proud of is where you are as a country. And then you look at things like GDP, how that country has grown. I mean, the country has exploded. GDP is probably one of the highest in all of Europe. Okay. Education rates are through the roof. I mean, these people are smart. And they work.
I hear it's also
a
beautiful country too. Like our good friend Governor Jaroslawski, he sent some pictures from being over there. And man, it is a beautiful country. Man, it just looks amazing.
Yes. So Paul, just sidebar. So Paul came to our offices, and we have two. By the way, we have two offices. One in a town called Rzeszów, which is in the southeastern region of Poland, about 35 miles away from the Ukrainian border. And then we have another office that we just recently opened up in Gdansk, which is primarily for our IT and computer solutions that we're starting that group up here real soon. But anyway, Paul came over to the office in Rzeszów, and then we drove to a town called Lublin, had lunch with him, got to know each other a little bit, and just had absolutely wonderful time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a beautiful country. The people are incredibly ambitious. They're very highly educated, and they are excited about the work that they get to do with the companies here in America. But the best part is that they can come here if necessary. That travel and train program is so awesome. What you guys have for that? Yeah,
it is. It's fantastic. We've got a couple of folks that are here right now in the States with us, doing some additional training with some of our clients. My teammates, I love those folks over there. And then, like I said, and if I may, I talked about, we've got the two different offices. I think you know that. So we have an office in this town called Rzeszów, which is primarily just our normal everyday kind of back office staffing, track and trace. We do other things aside from logistics as well. And then we opened up this office up north. And the office up north is in this town called Gdansk. And two of the more well thought of or higher ranked IT and computer solutions companies are based in that town. So we have a wealth of people and talent that we can just draw from. So anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so one question about Poland. What's the best food that you had over there that we can't get here in the States? Was there something that you had over there maybe for the first time, or that we can't get here in the States? What was it?
Homemade pierogi. Homemade pierogi.
Really?
So you know what? Yes,
I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
What is that?
I'm going to buy you some, and I'll bring them to you next time. Pierogi is like, think about our toasted ravioli, our raviolis here.
Okay.
Sure, pierogies are and they boil them. They can fry them, but they stuff them with pork. They'll stuff them with cabbage. They'll stuff them with potatoes and onions. So pierogi is kind of like our pizza. It's like the go-to food for people in Poland, and especially during when they were under communist rule. Cheaper food, they could eat. It was cheaper to make as opposed to going out and buying meat and all that kind of stuff. So pierogi, hands down, my favorite.
Is it like a big ravioli, like maybe like pita bread or some sort of like?
They're tiny. They're tiny.
They're small. Okay.
And then the other thing, the other food that I absolutely love is they do borscht, which is red beets, and they spice that stuff up too. So
nice.
I loved it.
I've never had either of those things. So.
Oh my gosh, Trey!
I told the guys I got to get over to Poland and see this sometime. I want to.
I'll go.
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will. All right. So real quick before we move on to we got a game today. We're gonna have a little fun here in just a minute. But I want to ask one more quick question. One thing that you and I talk a lot about is the value of sales and marketing working together, about the value of brand and those types of things. What would you say is, how is your personal brand really kind of something that's contributed to your success? How do you think about that in the sense of like how you can elevate your brand and how that actually is going to elevate the AmeriPol brand?
Well, it's a good question. I tend to think of myself as an incredibly honest person. I can build relationships well. In what we do, what AmeriPol does, it's not a hard sale like selling software. This is relationship sales. So I think I hope that's a quality of mine, the honesty and the ability to build a solid relationship, and then more importantly, establish that trust, right? With the people that we are essentially offering our solutions and our teammates to help solve problems for them. So that's, there's probably more to that, but I just believe that, you got to be honest, and you've got to build that trust, and you do that through being honest and being there to listen, and to help solve problems and so forth. I don't know if that answered your question but
yeah, no, it speaks volumes to it, because I was having this conversation with another friend, and I've had this conversation as well. Is there's a likability factor in sales that matters. When I was in door-to-door sales, for example, if I could get somebody to like me, then I had a shot. But if they didn't like me, I had zero shot. I mean, they just tell me to get out if they didn't like me. So there's an element of likability. I mean, rarely do people buy something from someone they don't like. They only do that when they have to buy it and they don't have any other options. Then they'll
exactly.
But if they have options and they don't have to buy it, likability is a big part of just getting your foot in the door. And I think that goes to reputation. It goes to who you are, building trust, having integrity. All those things build into that, where people feel like, I like this person. I'll talk to them. I'll listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of it.
I agree. And I think it's interesting too, because I look at, how we want to grow this company, how AmeriPol wants to grow. We're not looking in it to just expand and just get huge in a short amount of time. We want to take our time, develop the relationships, build the trust with the clients, build a reputation as being a very, very, very reliable BPO. And so the leadership here has the same kind of vision, just to make this just the place to be if you need help, right?
Yeah. And personal brand matters. Like, if likability gets you in the door, a great product or service often keeps you there. I think that's really valuable to have both. And so personal branding is a big deal. We talk about it, especially if you're in sales. Like, to me, if you're in sales, that's a big part of the equation now. Like, it used to be, knocking on doors and maybe on the phone, and then now there's email. And nowadays, I really believe that social media and having a social presence and LinkedIn engagements and relationships and all those kind of things, all of it feeds into who is Clark Wellman and do I want to talk to him? All that stuff matters. It all matters. You do a great job with it. So I was excited to recommend you to the good people over at AmeriPol. So it's awesome stuff.
And shameless plug for you, though, if anybody needs help with that kind of stuff, the guy sitting in my case to the left of me. I can't say enough about what you have done and how you have conducted your business. We've known each other for about 4 or 5 years. I knew you when.
Yeah, you've seen the journey, man.
Yeah, you're a superstar, brother. You're a superstar.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Let's have some fun, man. Let's play a game. Today we're playing a game called Wavelength.
Oh boy.
Clark, here's how this works. Our producer is going to put a banner up, and that banner is going to have a letter and a category. So it might say something like food H. And what we have to do is see if we can come up with the same word of food that starts with H, and see if we can be on the same wavelength. All right. So we'll see.
All right, let's go.
We're friends. We're good friends. Let's see. All right. So we're coming up with a TV show that starts with U. Oh, goodness. It starts with U. Oh, man.
Oh, I got one. And it was a movie, too. You got one. It was a movie too. Sean Connery. Kevin Costner.
Okay. Shoot. Oh man. It's a submarine movie, I'm sure. Or maybe no, it's
Prohibition. Else. Prohibition. Al Capone.
Prohibition. Gosh. Okay. I'm gonna blank on this one. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Undercover. Untouchables. Oh, that's right. Gosh, I'm such an idiot. I couldn't think of that. No. I was thinking maybe like Undercover Boss, but I wasn't going to say Boss. Maybe Undercover might have gotten it done. I knew that wasn't it. All right, we're 0 for 1. That was a sample. That was a test. That didn't count. Here we go. A household item that starts with an E. A household item that starts with an E. Okay, I got one. I got one.
What?
I've
got one. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I got one.
Here we go.
Go.
3, 2, 1.
Electric blender.
Electric anything. You probably said electric.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
Electric would have been a good choice. I should have done that.
Yes.
Electricity is probably the best option.
That's true.
All right, we're 0 for 1 officially. 0 for 2 if anybody's actually counting. All right, a catchphrase that starts with "in." Catchphrase that starts with "in." This is a tough one. That's a real broad category. All right, I got one.
I think I've got one too, but go. We ready?
Not in my house.
Not today. Okay,
we were so close. We were so close. Oh man.
I like not in my house. Yeah.
That I think those have the same sentiments. I think they have the same sentiments. I think we should get credit for that one because that was a broad.
Yeah, we do.
Came up with not. I think that was pretty good. So okay, we're going to take that one. So we're 1 for 2. All right, here we go. An animal that starts with a B. An animal that starts with. Gosh, I can only think of. Okay, I got one. You ready? 3, 2, 1. A bear. Let's go. All right, 2 in a row. 2 in a row. Here we go. All right, something you can wear that starts with an O. Something you can wear that starts with an O. Ooh, and I don't think we're going to use colors here. It actually has to be an object. Starts with an O.
I got one thing.
I can think of one thing, but it's not the actual way you say it.
Yeah, I do too. I've got something.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Opticals. Hey, I said optical.
Let's go. All right.
I said optical.
That's 3 in a row. That's unbelievable. That's hard to believe that we got that one. Okay. All right. A food that starts with a G. Oh, a food that starts with a G.
Yep.
Oh man.
I can think of several, but I've got one that just popped into my head. So
I'm blanking right now. Let's see. Oh geez. A food that starts with a G. Why am I stuck on this? Okay,
breakfast
here we go.
Food.
Got it. Okay, here we go.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Granola. Oh my gosh. You got to be kidding me. I had grapes as my first one, and I switched it.
Oh, you can't switch, man. You can't do that. It's like a test score. You can't change answers. The first one's almost
okay. So we got a half point.
All right, we're 3 out of 5 on that. We got the first 3 letters correct, but not correct. Okay, here we go. Last one. Let's see if we can pass today's wavelength. A movie that starts with F. Okay, I got one.
I do too.
All right, let's try it. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Ferris Bueller.
Oh, that would have been a good one. That Ferris Bueller, that would have been a good one. All right, my friend. We got 3. That's actually pretty impressive, and I'm really excited.
That's not bad.
Opticals. That's crazy that we got that. That's pretty wild. Okay, lastly, we got a random question for you. It's always fun just to see. I don't know if this is a good question, if it's a bad question, or if it's funny, serious. I don't know. Here we go. What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to? Oh, I like this question. What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
Oh gosh. I'm sitting here thinking.
I got a summer
ahead.
Olympic sport. You ready? Okay, Summer Olympics. I'm thinking gymnastics.
Yeah, I was. And
Can you
mine
try to do a balance beam with just a little bit of tequila? Oh man.
Either that or the shot put or the discus in track.
Oh, gosh, somebody could get hurt.
Because you got to spin around. Around. You're thinking of the baseball bat.
That's hard enough as it is, and then throw a little liquid in there. That's pretty crazy. Okay,
oh my gosh.
Summer Olympics. Just a little shot of something before you do the balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what happens. Some uneven bars with a little tequila thrown back. I mean, let's see what happens. It could be bad. It could throw up as well. That crazy. All right, my friend. So what's next for AmeriPol? What are you guys working on? How can people learn more about this?
Well, obviously the website, AmeriPolStaffing.com. What do we have in the works? Well, as you know, we are
tech, right? Did you say tech? Is that where you're opening up your?
Yeah. So we started off with, as I mentioned before, we started off with just the basic, fundamental staffing for several different tiers, right? And then we said, you know what, IT, computer, AI, all the stuff that's coming at us from you need talent for that. So we opened up that office up in the northern part of Poland. Very affordable town, but also close, very important, very close to 2 of the top universities in Europe for that for IT and computer. Marketing wise, hey, you know this. We're been flying under the radar. We're going to continue to probably, fly a little bit under the radar, but we need some visibility. And this is
not much longer.
No, not much longer. And we've got some talented people from the outside that are helping us with some marketing and some messaging and so forth. I believe as kind of one of the leaders of this organization, we don't know everything. We've got to bring people in to kind of help us frame that for us. So there's some folks, and I think a few that are helping us out with that. But just kind of be on the lookout for us. We're coming.
Yeah, it's
Deion
important
Sanders.
to have quality partners that can help you out in ways that maybe you're not as strong in. You guys are certainly doing that for your customers. So, man, It's always good to have you on the show. Thank you for visiting, and I can't wait for our next sushi run or our next rucking adventure. I know it's coming in the future. All good stuff, man. Appreciate you being on the show.
All right, man.
All right, everybody, make sure you come back every Tuesday for an episode of Standing Out with great guests like Clark Wellman. And also, thank you to our sponsor, SPI Logistics, for making this possible. Remember to visit them at success.spi3pl.com, especially if you're a freight broker that's just tired of having the back office and all that. You want to just stay in your lane and work with customers and covering loads. You got everything you need. So check them out at success.spi3pl.com. And until next time, don't forget, my friends, stop standing still, start standing out. We'll see you soon.